What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I'm going to give you guys the 5 players that all Vikings fans need to be watching during their preseason opener versus the Houston Texans. Which 5 players have the most to gain? Could they potentially earn themselves a roster spot or earn themselves a starting position on this team? We'll break it all down on today's show, but the biggest storyline Saturday, it's no doubt J.J. McCarthy. And I would be lying to you guys if I didn't say I was a little nervous for Saturday. But I'm also so excited. And if you guys are excited as well to watch JJ go out there and completely ball out, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon. Hey, the Vikings dismantled the Texans last year in Minnesota, 34-7. JJ McCarthy 2-0 versus CJ Stroud in college. Hopefully that continues this Saturday and he plays some good football. So if you guys are excited to watch QB1, the face of the franchise, JJ McCarthy, play this Saturday, hit that thumbs up icon. Now, top player of the watch, an obvious one. We got to break it down. J.J. McCarthy. And I do want to go over a couple things that I'm going to be looking out for in terms of his play this Saturday. Now, obviously, it's the preseason. It's going to be a lot of vanilla coverages defensively. The Vikings probably won't show too much offensively. And the number one thing I'm looking for here is just command of the offense. And it's just as simple as, not having any false starts. Breaking the huddle smoothly, getting to your reads, getting to those checks that, obviously Kevin O'Connell pounds the table about. So just having command of the offense, I think it's going to be huge. Again, this is a de facto rookie season for McCarthy. So whatever you're thinking about guys like Cam Ward, we should be thinking the same about JJ, running the offense at a high level. And, again, it's going to be more about the process, I think, during the preseason than the results. And the process is just breaking the huddle smoothly, not having any false starts. So number one is command of the offense. And number two, in terms of just the arm talent for JJ, layering the football. Now, this was definitely the biggest red flag in his scouting report coming out of college because he felt like everything was a fastball. But even last preseason versus the Raiders and those highlights I probably watched 1,000 times so far, he was layering the football very well. So hopefully that continues. We've seen him working on that during training camp, and it was funny. And I will do eventually a whole show on what Colin Cowherd and Dianna Russini we're talking about with J.J. McCarthy, but Cowherd was running with the report that the Vikings were working on layering the football in the red zone. He was acting like this was a huge concern. That is arm talent. That's something you got to work towards. So that's something I'm going to be watching. And then also the dual threat ability. We saw that during the night practice this past Monday where J.J. was taking off. He was escaping rushers. Now, it's obviously tough to see, true dual threat ability at training camp because nobody wants to touch the quarterback. And if you guys were watching Hard Knocks, with the Buffalo Bills, the defensive coordinator for the Bills was telling the defensive line, hey, if you get close to Josh Allen, run the other direction. Nobody touch him. And I'm assuming Brian Flores is telling the same thing to the guys about J.J. McCarthy. So we'll be able to get a better look at that during the preseason. Then also third and long situations. I'm hoping the Vikings are behind the 8 ball a little bit when J.J. is out there. I want to see him in the 3rd and 9s, the 3rd and 10s, where he was unreal during his college career in those situations. But again, that's college. Can that translate to the next level at the NFL? And I also want to see JJ be aggressive. It's not like I'm rooting for him to throw an interception, but if there is a tight window throw, let that thing rip. I want to see him try to take the cover off the football, fit it in a tight window. Maybe it's a cover 2 hole shot that's not there, and he just tries to layer it in there, and maybe the safety intercepts it. I really don't care. I want to see him be aggressive, work, kind of through those, situations that you're going to see Monday night. You got to hit the ground running. So kind of get those out of the way during the preseason, but be aggressive. I think that could be huge for his development heading into week 1 against the Bears. And number 2 for me, I'm going to go 3rd round pick here. Ty Felton, wide receiver out of Maryland. Now the reports out of training camp are suggesting that Ty Felton hasn't really lived up to what he thought he was going to be entering training camp. But again, that can all change with just one preseason game. What if him and J.J. McCarthy have a great connection this Saturday, and we're saying, man, maybe Ty Felton should be wide receiver 2 when Addison is suspended. But this is Ty Felton's chance to prove he can get big-time snaps when Addison is out. Because obviously when Addison is in the lineup, from week 4 and beyond, I'm probably assuming the 3 wide receivers we see on the field 90% of the time will still be Jefferson, Addison, and Naylor. But if Ty Felton wants to beat out a guy like a Jalen Naylor, this is a great opportunity because you got QB1 out there. I'm assuming you have some starters on the offensive line like Donovan Jackson, maybe a Ryan Kelly. Probably won't see Will Fries as he's still dealing with that injury, but this is his chance, and he's got some competition behind him. Like, let's just say Rondell Moore goes out there and he outplays Ty Felton, and he just slots down in the depth chart. Even a guy like Thayer Thomas, who has looked good at training camp. This is a massive game for Ty Felton in terms of just him, potentially cracking this rotation. And, again, I would not be shocked if Ty Felton goes out there this Saturday versus the Texans, has a very good game, and then he gets that wide receiver 3 role Monday night versus Chicago Bears, and he has maybe a touchdown, goes for like 40, 50 yards, and everybody's saying, oh, who's that Ty Felton guy? Oh, the Vikings draft him in the 3rd round. Again, that's wishful thinking there, but this is a massive time, not for the Vikings, but for Ty Felton specifically. It's a big moment for him this Saturday. And another big moment, kind of in a similar, position as Ty, is Mekhi Blackman. Obviously coming back from that torn ACL, but he's 100% and ready to go. And, I don't even know if this is concerning or not, but at least the reports from camp, we haven't really heard too much about Mekhi Blackman. And, again, that's also negative. We haven't heard too much negative about him, but we also haven't heard too much positive. And all the hype has been around El Jefe, Jeff Okudah, the 2 UDFAs, and Zamia Vaughn and Dwight McClellan. But again, not a lot on Mekhi Blackman. Now, the Vikings got their 2 top corners locked down. Now, that cornerback 3 spot, I'm still going to give the nod to Mekhi Blackman, at least on the depth chart. But again, like if Dwight McClellan, who has been unreal during training camp, he had that stretch where he had 3 straight days with an interception. Best part was when McClellan intercepted the pass, ran it over the Justin Jefferson and handed it in his lap. Like, he looks good. And same with Jeff Okudah. He's been probably the biggest winner from Vikes training camp so far. So, not just this game, but the preseason as a whole is massive for number 5, because we heard all the hype that Flores had for him, even when he was coming out of USC. And then Flores loved what he did during his rookie year. And we were talking about him being a breakout candidate heading into the last season. Obviously, a torn ACL ended up ending his season there. But this is going to be a massive moment for him, because he's got 3 guys behind him in Okudah, McClellan, and Zamia Vaughn, who are fighting to make the roster and fighting to take his spot to be that 3rd cornerback. So this is going to be massive for him. But, hey, we'll see what ends up happening. Now, we'll dive into 2 more guys here in a second. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about a new product we have here at Vikings Sound by Chat Sports. That is Daily Greens by Factor Form. And start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, I've tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again. I just wasn't the biggest fan until I pivoted and tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. Now, let's be honest, most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You'll actually crave your greens. And as a sister brand to Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form you look forward to drinking. Just 1 scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. It's got a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste that's very enjoyable to drink. And all you got to do, mix a single-serve pack in water, and you're good to go. Now, my favorite part of Daily Greens is that it ranked number 1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out the biggest names in the industry. So if you guys want to start your day right, make sure you check out Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. Now, honestly, for the show, I could have probably listed 20 guys I'm very excited to watch this preseason. It was tough narrowing it down to 5, but coming in at number 4 here, you got another rookie, a guy I'm very excited to watch, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. Now, we actually shared with you guys Todd McShay of The Ringer, one of my favorite NFL draft analysts. He was saying this was his favorite pick for the Minnesota Vikings. He's got a ton of high-end talent, huge potential in the league. It's just going to come down to consistency, motor with him, but he's also shown flashes during training camp so far. And, with just how loaded the Vikings defensive tackle room is, it's going to be hard for TID to see the field. So preseason for him is going to be absolutely massive, because kind of like a similar situation to a guy like Jalen Redmond, where let's just say Hargrave or Allen, guys that have dealt with injuries over the last couple of years, if they got to miss time, he could be in line to have a game where it's like, hey, you're the full-time starter. You're getting 70 snaps this game. You should be out there making an impact. So hopefully if those guys, Hargrave and Allen, if we see them leave the lineup, if you just plot in TID or Jalen Redmond, we don't see that fall off. And it's going to be a great moment for him. I'm assuming he's going to get a lot of run. Obviously, 5th-round pick in preseason. He should be playing majority of this game, and I think that would be the right decision for the Vikings coaching staff. So very, very excited to watch him play. And then number 5 for me, and this is completely biased out of me for putting him on this list, but if you guys have been watching this show and even my old podcast here on YouTube, shout out to Skullside, but I'm a massive Ty Chandler fan, but I also truly believe this. It's more likely that he ends up getting cut from this team than him making it. And he's got to show something. And the number one thing that I would love to see out of Ty Chandler, let me get a 3rd and 9 situation. The other team, the Texans, they're sending the house. Ty Chandler's in there blocking, and he just steps up in the hole and blasts a linebacker. Because that's the one thing about his game this Vikings coaching staff does not trust at all, is him in the blitz pickup. So if they can get some more trust there, maybe he could end up making the team. You also could see a guy like Xavier Scott taking his spot. Trey Stewart could potentially make the 53-man roster. So, again, this is a massive preseason for a lot of these guys outside of J.J. McCarthy. As a Ty Chandler stan, I'm going to be pulling for him. I will have a ton of bias towards him. But hopefully he ends up having a good performance this Saturday. And if you guys made it to the end of today's show, we appreciate all the real ones for watching. But just give me a skull down below in the comments section. And also hit me up on Twitter if you got any comments or concerns around your Minnesota Vikings. See you guys next time. As always, let's go Vikes.